This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 40.
Welcome to the show that focuses on helping real estate agents build a bulletproof business plan so that they can sell more properties in less time and live a more fulfilled life.
Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent business, I've created a free jumpstart course, and it's good for all veterans and rookies. And it's over at freeagentgift.com. That's freeagentgift.com. You can get over there and get instant access to an on-demand free course, okay? Let's get started. In this episode, what I want to cover is why building a funnel helps you focus. I know, funnels. What does that have to do with the real estate agent business? Well, in this week's mastermind coaching call, what we really focused on was taking, and I always try to track what I'm doing there and share it with you. But what we did there was we focused on trying to get reconnected to a vision. I mean, I know that can get a little squishy for some of my members there. People just want to get it done. They want now business. They need cash flow. They have those small business challenges like all of us. But myself included, I realized that if you don't have that North Star for why you're doing this, in my case, I want to be a person. For others, I want to help people. Real estate's a great place to do it. So we have sellers, buyers, and agents. I can help any one of them. So it works out well. But then it really begs the question, okay, great. I'm in. I get a vision. I'm there, North Star. But how am I supposed to take action right now? And a lot of you rookies that are listening to this, you want to know. So I go back to what I did when I was revamping my business 6 years ago. I thought about a mastermind that I could bring in, like a board of directors. So I brought in a lot of dead people, right? And one of those dead people would have been Henry Ford. If I could have him at the table with me, I would have said, Henry, how do we build this? And he would have said, duh. Just make assembly lines, manufacture whatever you have to manufacture in an assembly line-like process. And so I thought about it and said, okay, well, that's great because the first point here is I have 3 different cars to make per se. So in other words, if I'm copying Henry, I have 3 different avatars or things I'm trying to build. And so what are those? Well, they're all common, like his were all automobiles. And eventually, after that Model T, they became different models, but they were really just automobiles in general. So I have these 3 humans, but they have 3 different models to them. One is the seller and the most important one by far because they control the inventory. The seller has the inventory. So the first assembly line that I'm going to put together and really clearly define or funnel, see, funnel's another word simply for assembly line. I'm going to manufacture first relationships with sellers in an assembly line-like fashion. So I'm going to look at that funnel first. And that's precisely what we did in the mastermind today. We really broke it down. And so the next point that we came up with is not only were we breaking down these 3 funnels, now we said, okay, look. And it was interesting. I went through an interesting process. I actually polled my mastermind group and I asked them, hey, look, what do you think is the best way to go through this process? In other words, who? Okay, so I have these sellers, but who are they? Where are they? And all those basic things we talk about when we set up our strategic marketing plan, because that's your first beat is in your assembly line is a marketing module. So where they are became really an obvious piece of this. So building your funnel to work, you have to decide where. Where are these sellers? And I could do buyers or agents. It doesn't matter. But for the sake of this podcast, I want to just stick with the seller because I'm fresh off that mastermind today. And I want to share what happened. So we went through where. And that brought up neighborhood because as I started to say, what are we going to do about this? We started to just take a poll. And I said, look, mind dump on me. Go fast. Just think out loud. So they said neighborhood. Mailers, FSBOs, expireds, and things just starting coming out. So the first thing I said was, okay, let's just take where. That's the neighborhood. You have to really decide these prospects that exist are there. But then there was this battle with the term sphere of influence, and it kept fighting its way up. And I was trying to maybe ignore it because it didn't fit with what I felt was the right discussion, but it just kept barging its way in there. And so I started to see if we want to do business in a neighborhood, the first thing is to decide whether it's big enough. And you do that by just simply saying how many transactions there were, 2x that for the number of sides. It needs to be enough within which you can market and make a reasonable living. So you look at that first, but then you ask yourself, like you were a brand new agent, where in that neighborhood do you have influence? In other words, are you socially on platforms where you're sharing your life and people are commenting and you're going back and forth? How about just a whole bunch of people in your phone? Do you have influence where you're texting back and forth with people? So in other words, do people see you as somebody they like and trust? I guess I could go the whole three, know, like, and trust, where you could just give them contacts and say, hey, everybody, in my sphere, my environment of influence, whatever that really means, you know me. I just want you to know that I'm in the real estate business. And so really it just became about first just giving context there and really focusing on that context. Now, if you know anything about why I give away a free agentgift.com, it's because I'm beginning to program you to see strategically that even though you make these decisions where they are and you start with the simplest low hanging fruit like your sphere of influence, you need to be able to be confident, especially if you're new to this business. But if you've been doing it on muscle, like a lot of my mastermind members that come to me for coaching, the first thing I say is I want you to be aware you've been doing this on muscle and you need to bring some strategy. So whether it's rookie or veteran trying to refine their business, we start with core content. So now I have where they are and I influence them and I want to just simply let them know I can help them. Why? Because in the story brand formula, they are the heroes. Anybody that's in my influential area or my area of influence in the neighborhood, I'd love to, help buyers and sellers and eventually recruit agents. I'm going to tell them that I have some core content that I want to give them. And that's just being a good steward of that sphere of influence, being good for your community, saying, look, I have 7 steps that you have to go through. They're universal. I want you to know what they are when you're selling your property. 6 steps when you're buying. 7 steps plus a bonus section if you're thinking about becoming an agent like me, and just being a good steward of that so that you can really give that to your current audience and just let them know it's there. Now, it won't be relevant to everybody in your audience, but somebody may know somebody immediately. In fact, one of my mastermind members said, they had a guy come on. He didn't have any money to spend. And he basically just told him, look, go into your phone bank and text everybody. The guy already has 3 closed sales because he just brought him this core content, told him he had this context, and everybody said, hey, we like you. I do know somebody, or I am somebody. So the current audience was there. But this is where we really start to have to pay attention to the power of the funnel. Even though they knew those people, they stayed adherent or honest to the process. They didn't just cheat it. They said, hey, good news for you. Thanks. I didn't know you had something. I wanted you to know that I have this strategy for buying and this strategy for selling. So even though you're a friend of mine, let me give you new context. Let me give you that core content, that strategy that I follow with my team leader. And they gave it and it monetized. Okay. So once you do that with people that you know and you're comfortable with, it's a little bit easier with them sometimes, not always, but sometimes. The next thing in that funnel is to really think about new prospects. Where could I get new prospects? So we talked about sphere of influence, and a lot of my members at the mastermind level, all of them, have past clients, and that bubbled up. So here we were really pounding away. We've got to get more sellers from past clients. And that was the number 1 voted on venue. The most now business my veterans felt would come from past clients who would be reselling or could refer us somebody who was selling. But the next thing was, okay, what do we do about new people? Where do we find new people? Not from referrals. Let's just go completely raw, off the street. Where can we get these sellers? So a lot of the obvious things started to bubble up. Expireds, probates, out-of-state owners, abandoned properties, everything that we could imagine sitting in that neighborhood within which we wanted to go. We could look at it from a funnel system and we could say, and this is what I did to them. So you'll all appreciate this if you don't have money to spend on this. It's this concept of resourcefulness. I said, well, look, if I limited you to be the most resourceful, with the least amount of money, what would you go after? So I think the battle was for expireds and just generally farming around an area. Those two battled up. And I said, okay, now I'm going to say how, what medium? So rather than everybody running to the internet, they didn't. Instead, what they all said, and it was a runaway victory, was call people. Number one, call people. Now, a lot of you get really nervous about focusing on just that, that few couple of dispositions. Hey, people that live in the neighborhood. Hey, expireds or maybe probates. I'll throw 3 dispositions in there. Focusing on fewer is what I was trying to get the mastermind group to focus on, and they did. So they came up with a couple, but then the methodology was choosing the most direct contact method first, not going all the way back to the internet, which brings me the furthest away from now business. Everybody wants now business, but yet they run to the internet first. Huh? Like that's a head scratcher. It's because we've gotten too comfortable and believing that the fish are supposed to jump into the frying pan and cook themselves up for us. And again, I know that's a crude analogy, but I'm trying to make the point that if you want to help somebody in the context of building relationships in your relationship funnel or assembly line, you need to speed to their face. How do you get in front of people the fastest? By this weekend when you listen to this podcast? Well, that would be the most direct spot would be something like an open house or picking up the phone and calling them and asking them for an appointment. Anything that gets you in a real dialogue with somebody who has a disposition to sell is the fastest path, right? So let me go back and I want to reiterate these points a little bit more clearly. Why building a funnel helps you focus is because it makes you think about, well, what am I manufacturing? I'm manufacturing relationships in the context of real estate. With whom? Sellers, buyers, and then as I expand, agents who do their sellers and buyers that they have. And they all can go to, those agents, including you, your current audience. Let your current audience know. Now, if that's your sphere of influence and you're new and that's all you have, let your phone book know. Let your Facebook profile friends know. Let those places know. Your Instagram following. Let them know that you're in real estate with this core help that you can use and they can jump in your funnel to get it. And of course, if you have already past clients, that bubbles up even above them because they have real estate context. But the new prospects matter. You've got to go into the neighborhood where you want to do business, and you have to either get face-to-face in open houses if you have that opportunity, or pick up the phone and start calling people, just being a good steward of information, saying, hey, I have some core content that can help any of you or your friends that are thinking about selling, right? And then as you look at those new prospects, focus on fewer dispositions. That's the next point. In other words, probates, expired, stick to just a couple things like that. Don't try to be a master of everything. Just do a couple of things and do them well. You know there's business there. And then, of course, choose the most direct contact methods first. So door knocking or going face-to-face or via open houses, that's the fastest path, but you may bristle at that. So the next most important thing, and it's a leveraged event because you can do a lot more of it in a shorter period of time, is call people. Call people. Now, I know I'm leaving you a little bit short in this podcast. What do I say? Just tell them you have some information to share in case they decide to buy or sell, and get some of this core content down, which is very, very, very simple to put together. What are the 6 or 7 steps somebody goes through when buying or selling? Teach them that. Okay. So chunking it up. 3 avatars, new prospects versus your current audiences. Focus on fewer dispositions and choose the most direct contact methods. To summarize the key point, it's mapping out a funnel that focuses on the fastest path to building relationships with people that you know and those that you don't. This is an assembly line of helping people so that the relationship manufactures a sale or an outcome, okay? And remember, of course, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with my free information that I'm giving to you as a community service to the general community of agents. It's a free video course. It's on demand, and it's sitting there waiting for you on this beautiful teachable.com platform. You can find my stuff at freeagentgift.com. Get signed up there. There's no pressure. It's for you to learn, all right? And of course, if you like what you learned here on this podcast, and would appreciate it if you would share these insights with other entrepreneurial agents just like you, so that they can find their way over here to get some help and join us. Don't forget to subscribe or follow us on whichever platform you're listening to. And of course, a positive review if you want to leave that, or better yet, questions for me. I'd love to answer your questions on any of the platforms within which I participate or share these podcasts, okay? We also broadcast our live sales training on Facebook, so we start to cross over, as I say every week, into the how to do things on the phone, which I just referenced, was the number one thing that came up in the mastermind as a methodology. And you can listen to us work on that for nada, for free access. But you have to be on Facebook every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time so you can eavesdrop. So remember to like the page over there and get the notifications. Hey, thanks for listening. As usual, I am totally humbled to be able to share this stuff with you, and hopefully it empowers you to live a little bit more of a happy real estate life. See you in the next episode.
You've been listening to The Realty Classroom with Danny Griffin. Join us next time to continue learning how to build a smarter real estate agent business plan that helps you live a more fulfilled life.